Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Jared Brandon, as Jared Brandon.
That's correct. You didn't hear Tony first because Tony's not here, man. He was having technical difficulties. We are saddened and dismayed that he won't be joining us with his jolly self. But right. Another day, another time. Next episode, he'll be back, everybody. But we do have in studio, we've got Rob Chafe.
Mad Cow Amplification.
That's right, Mad Cow Amplification. And we also have a guest joining us from... Rob, can you check and see how many miles away he is from us, actually? That would be kind of fun.
Many.
Special guest, who are you?
I'm Glyn from Mr. Glyn's Pickups.
Yay!
Glyn
Another
from Mr. Glyn's
finally.
Pickups. That's correct. Mr. Glyn, where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Auckland in New Zealand.
Auckland, New Zealand. Holy moly. Now, Rob, do you have a calculation for us there?
Yep, pulling up. 8,355 miles.
8,355 miles. Now,
I can hitchhike that.
I'm still frankly marveling the fact that he's talking to us in real time.
Get over
I know
it, Todd.
I'm an adult.
It's 2022.
I know, but it's still it's kind of bonkers, man. It's technically tomorrow there.
Yeah, it is. It is tomorrow. We are ahead of time.
It is.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Hey, I can marvel at science, man. Now, you're calling from New Zealand, and you are you the only pickup builder in New Zealand?
As far as I know, I am. I think there's a couple of guys who just do little bits and pieces, and there are guitar repairers who do rewinds.
Right.
But I think I'm the only sort of serious manufacturer.
Gotcha. Well, we are really thrilled that you're on the show tonight, and we're going to dig into what your story is. I know you've got a lot going on. You're doing a great job of connecting with others in the guitar community out there as well. So we'll find out more about that. I also kind of wanted to check in. I mean, there's kind of a big deal happening out there over by New Zealand. Are you affected at all by that?
What do you mean? What big deal? COVID?
The giant volcano.
Oh, is there? Where is that?
What?
I haven't seen any news for a couple of days. Thing is, it's the middle of summer, and so I'm on the beach a lot, and I'm doing this and that.
Seriously?
So I haven't actually seen.
It's like a catastrophic volcano eruption.
What's the island? Starts with
Okay, well, there hasn't been. I better look that up. There hasn't been a tsunami warning. Civic vote. Oh gosh. In Tonga. Okay. Well, if there's a tsunami warning, I'll just run then.
I thought he was being Tonga.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
What other news can we bring him up on?
The images. Yeah, let's. I mean, the images that we've seen are pretty remarkable. So I was honestly kind of halfway expecting a call saying, hey, there's a giant volcano in prehistoric island town of New Zealand, and I won't be able to join. I honestly was expecting that call. Glyn, did the tsunami hit?
No way.
Glyn, are you there?
Glyn?
Hi, yeah.
Oh,
there you are.
Whew, you didn't get swept away by the tsunami.
No.
How morbid that would be.
Yeah. Well, if there is one, I guess I'll...
Would that go viral, I wonder?
Yeah.
So
I'm going to keep going.
It's going to be a weird night.
I'm going to keep going. It's already been a weird night. It's been really weird. So we've got a couple of announcements. Hey, speaking of down in those waters, we need to give a great big thank you to Jared.
Rode microphone.
Rode Mics, our pal Nick down there at Rode, always helping out the old Guitar Knobs podcast. Much gratefulness towards him and Rode microphones.
Where are Rode microphones made?
In
Australia,
Melbourne, I believe.
Yeah, that's a neighbor.
Yeah, well, they're
way closer than we are.
Yes. Closer. I don't know total proximity. Glyn, are you on you're on the east side Wait, Melbourne's on the east or the west side?
Melbourne's on the west of us.
So
but it's about a 4 or 5 hour flight.
Right. So you know everybody there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're in Australia. You can just stand on the hill here and wave.
Right. You can like
a stupid American
slingshot Fosters to each other and stuff. Okay. Anyways,
I know it looks quite close on the map because there isn't really anything else down here. But it's actually quite a long way off.
Maps are deceiving too. It's only 6 inches away. What's the big deal? So, aside from the fantastic Rode mic company, we got a great little email from a friend, another international friend, and I'm going to read that for you. This is from Trevor Newman, and he said, Happy New Year to all the Guitar Knobs podcast. Please keep me amused and informed for another year. I haven't gotten anything to say about pedals, amps, or guitars. Just that the new series of Toast of Tinseltown, formerly Toast of London, is highly amusing, and I hope you are going to watch it when released in the United States. Trevor Newman. So we've made lots of little nods to Toast of London, which recently got pulled off of Netflix after several years, and we've had a lot of fun. The subject matter of that, by the way, was Clem Fandango. So I got a kick out of that. Thanks for sending that, Trevor, and we look forward to watching Toast of Tinseltown. Also, I don't know if anybody is watching Boba Fett, and if you're a hater, don't throw anything at me, okay? But
no, I like it.
The main droid for Boba Fett is actually played by Matt Berry of Toast of London, which is first time I heard it. I was like, wait a minute, that's Toast. That's Stephen Toast, the robot. Anyways, we're going to keep moving with this here.
I understand all the words you said, Todd, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
What I'm talking about at all. Glyn, did you get Toast of London down there?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Yeah, it's great. You should see it. Anyways,
okay.
Let's find out what's going on in our music worlds this week before Rob walks out of the studio. Rob, since you're closest in proximity, why don't you go ahead and kick us off, and then we're going to find out what's going on with Glyn.
All right. So I got a notification last week from Mojo Tone. They make cabinets and amp kits, and what else do they sell? Guitar parts?
Pickups, I believe.
Pickups, I think, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
pickup parts.
Yeah.
But I got an email from them that they were doing free freight for like 4 days. So I took way much, what do I want to say, advantage of that.
Yes.
I bought two 212 cabinets.
You were just moaning about who makes 212 cabinets anymore.
No.
What's the point of that?
Combos. The cabinets alone, because once you put the chassis...
Oh, you mean extension cabs?
Yeah, they're just extension caps.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, I used Jared's voice for...
I heard that. I know. I was like, it's weird. I'm hearing Jared, but I'm
nothing wrong with that.
Todd.
I like it.
So I took full advantage of that because, freight from North Carolina is still like probably $50 per cabinet.
Sure.
Unloaded because they're, massive. So I ordered 2 of those. So dealer discount plus free freight. Can't beat that.
That's nice.
Yeah, I had a bunch of selections sitting around the basement, so I'm loading up 2 more cabinets. So I'm going to have 6 different selections loaded in cabinets, so I can
test
exactly compare the greenback to the Heritage 30 to the creamback this to the Vintage 30. Yeah,
that's great. That would be really fun.
You're going to go
in here.
You're going to go stereo?
It's funny. I actually was running a stereo rig for a very, very, very brief moment. I think it was 2 gigs. That's all it lasted.
Wow.
Because, it's like, oh, wait a minute. How much more stuff do I have to bring and set up and carry? And then when I asked the front of house guy to put 2 mics up, they just look at me funny. So it's like, all right. And the house system's in mono anyway. So, yeah, no.
Let's see here. What's going on? Glyn, tell us what's going on in your music world this week.
I've just got back from holiday. So this week, not much has happened. I haven't even seen the news, obviously. But I'm going to be carrying on working on... I've got a couple of prototypes I've been thinking of the, the single pickup thing is quite big with some people or some makers.
Yeah.
So I've been looking at sort of Esquire Telecaster pickups, and like on an Esquire, the three-way switch, it's got one good sound and two fairly useless ones.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at I've started making a pickup that's like a hot telly pickup, and then you can tap off some windings and make that into a kind of late sort of early 60s Esquire, and then tap off more windings, and it'll be more similar to a sort of like a gold foil.
Very cool.
Oh,
Yeah, cool thinking.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I've made one of those, and I'm just testing it, and then I'm also looking at a sort of P90 type version of that as well.
Very
So
cool.
rather than turn the volume down, you can tap it off, and which changes the tone quite a lot more than just turning the volume down. Quite a different pickup.
Switch it off.
I just had a guitar built with a single Powertron in it, TV Jones. That was my first single pickup guitar. I actually do really quite like it because I never really play neck pickups at all for anything.
Ever.
Well, as soon as the drummer starts next to you, you just vanish if you're on the neck pickup.
Yeah.
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 You're not loud enough then.
It's just not my it's not my sound, It's super.
Well, once he gets a tapped Powertron for you.
Yeah. I guess then I could use something like that.
Yeah.
There's plenty of space. There's plenty of space in the Filtertron to add more to it. It's like it's a pickup with low windings and a seriously heavy magnet.
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna run them probably stock, so everybody, don't worry about me. Jared, what's going on in your music world?
I bought all the Maestro pedals.
Oh
today.
yeah,
How's
dude.
that?
Yeah.
Bought all the Maestro pedals and been working hard.
What do you mean you bought all the Maestro pedals? Elaborate.
Yeah, I bought them all.
He bought
So
$1,500
I
worth
ordered
of
them all.
pedals.
So there's 5 pedals that came out, and I am going to be handing them to you, Todd, for you to check them out.
And these are the new Maestro pedals from Gibson.
Gibson Maestro pedals. Yeah, Gibson has owned Maestro for a long time, and they had effects back in the 70s. But when it was bought by Henry, they didn't. They discontinued making Maestro products. And maybe use the name for. I think they used the name for the Walmart guitars, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and kind of gave it a bad.
Yeah.
Kind of gave it a bad rap for being a Walmart guitar.
Walmart guitar?
I mean, let's face it. Yes, let's face
missed
it. It did, and so the new Gibson leadership said, "Nah, let's take my Serato. That didn't work out. I don't think we even sell. Well, I don't think Gibson sells them in Walmart anymore. So they took the brand name and they're putting it back where it should be." Making various effects and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And maybe more to come. I'm not sure. So,
all right.
So five pedals there. So
I'm looking forward to it. All right. So for my week, recently I got this Marshall Origin 50, and I've been really liking it. There's a couple little sort of tonal quirks. You hit a certain frequency, and all of a sudden my ears are like,
So hold on.
I got to figure that out.
The Origin has that tilt knob, right?
It has a tilt knob.
Okay.
It has a presence. It's got a master. It's got a gain.
Yeah, the tilt's the weird one though.
The tilt is the weird one, but it basically acts like the when you do the jumper thing on the
Right.
Marshall. So it either gives you more of that high end or like an unjumped one. But there is a frequency thing in there that I would love to resolve, and I don't know if that's as a result of the type of speaker that's used in there or not.
It's a combo.
It is a combo. It's sort of like a 10, 20, 50 kind of wattage situation selector on it.
The selector, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so in messing around with that, I said, you know what? I really would love to hear what some of my pedals that I'm so familiar hearing with my Supro sound like in front of that. So this week, last couple of days, I put the Greer
Lightspeed?
No, the Super Hornet. The Super Hornet in front of it, which is a fuzz with an octave, and it's like basically like a momentary. You can hit it, so it's a momentary octave if you want it, which is really handy and very clever. Just for little accents. Just all of a sudden, woo, there's your octave. But it's a great sounding fuzz, and it took to the Marshall like something to water. Insert whatever.
Elephant?
Well, fish to water, sure. Anyways, it sounded really great, and it was one of those instances, and you kind of know this, where you start playing something, and then you say, I have been playing for well over a half an hour now, and I haven't noticed it. So, sounded fantastic. And that was on the lowest setting at night at like 11 o'clock. So I did not have this thing turned up, and I was like, ooh, I like these tones right here. So
nice.
I can't wait to turn it up, but the family's sleeping and everything. So we got to mind that sort of thing. Anyways, so there you go. The Greer Super Hornet. It's a mighty fine little pedal. Go check one out if you can. Borrow one, trade one, do something like that. Sounds cool. Looks cool. Rob, you know what?
What, Todd?
I'm going to skip all the shenanigans that we usually do.
Cool. Get right to it.
Get right to it. We're just going to be
much more my style.
This is a straight one this time. Tour Gear Designs makes some fantastic patch cables.
Yes.
In a myriad of lengths, and they are one of the most affordable and effective pedal cable designs that I've seen out there. I've got a lot of top-mounted pedals, and I always have had problems with either them jamming up against each other or like being too close to the power input and all kinds of stuff. And also their pedal design, their configurations, either a C shape, which would jump from top mount jack to top mount jack, or the S shape, which would go to a top mount to a side mount. So effective. If you go over to tourgeardesigns.com and load up your cart, once you get to the cart, you're going to get your coupon code, and you can put the guitar knobs, and you're going to save 10% off your entire order. And they ship mighty quick. And they're all personally inspected too, which is great because they're going to work. So thank you so much to Tour Gear Designs for making a fantastic product and for sponsoring the 4 on the Floor. Jared?
Uh-oh.
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3.
4 on the floor.
Okay, Glyn Evans, Mr. Glyn's Pickups. What is your 4 on the floor?
Okay, all 4 of these are New Zealand made.
Ooh.
Because you guys might need to know about them. Okay, Firehorse Effects, who are in Hamilton in North Ireland, do a pedal called a Dood, D-O-O-D. And it's a distortion, it's a dirt box, really. It's got 2 settings on it. One is very, very similar to a DOD 250, the old grey box, silicon overdrive. And then the other, flick a switch, and it's very similar again to an MXR Distortion Plus germanium.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's great, actually. Yeah, the silicon one's a bit louder than the germanium one, but yeah, just for, I don't know, dirty sounds. And I usually will use that stack it with a soul food in front of it.
Ah, yeah, that's a good call. Good call.
Yeah, very, very dirty lead sound, especially the germanium, the MXR Distortion Plus side of it.
Nice. Haven't heard that one before. Firehorse Effects.
Firehorse FX. Yeah.
FX, and that is
FX.
Dude. Okay, what's next?
Okay, then Red Witch. You guys know Red Witch pedals?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Ben does a thing called a binary star, which I never wanted in the first place. He sent me one because I sent him some pickups for a demo he was doing. And I thought I was just sending the pickups and they'd be on his demo and that would be lovely. And then this binary star turned up in the post. Now, I'm more of a kind of I started playing guitar because of Malcolm Young.
Oh, yeah.
So I looked at it and went, oh, okay, it's delay on one side and like a crazy modulation on the other. But it's been on my board ever since.
Oh, wow.
And I suddenly decided that delay is something that I love.
Very cool.
I don't use the modulation side so much. His demos are great. He does his own demos. But the delay is just a simple, lovely, warm delay.
Excellent.
So then I'll go from that to the big noise amplification Doppler vibe, which is it's a univibe. It's an optical univibe. Again, made in New Zealand, made in Nelson, in top of South Island. Sorry, and it's got this sound that it's kind of inside your sound. You know, like a lot of choruses and flanges and stuff will tend to sort of sit on top, and it's like, oh, I've just added a bit of thing on top of my sound. But this is completely inside it and part of it. It really steers how you play.
Wow. I haven't not heard of
that.
Yeah,
no, you probably wouldn't have. Again, small maker. He sent me that to try out, and then I ended up, because we all know each other in New Zealand, you know.
yeah.
So I ended up, not sending it back to him.
Well, he knows where to come and get it.
Yeah, but I won't let him in. So then the other one, which I'm sure you guys know, is the Paul Crow, the hotcake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Paul is a lovely bloke. He's been making these since the late 70s, and it's just the go-to overdrive.
It kind of like him and Keeley with that compressor. It's like those two guys hit the nail on the head. Like they could have just stopped with those. You know, I mean, Keeley sold over 700,000 of them, I think.
Yeah.
You know, when we interviewed him, and who knows how many hotcakes have been sold since he started. I mean, geez.
Don't know.
It's insane.
And everyone is signed by him. You take the back off, and Paul has signed every single one of them.
Wow.
And has right back. I mean, you see them. You know, it's rare you see a pedal board here without a hotcake on it.
Sure. I can imagine. It is a little bit rare to see him out here, but actually we have one here at the studio that I've toyed around with a little bit, and yeah, it sounds really great. It's good stuff.
Yeah, and you can use, and they're really sensitive to, you know, if you tickle it, they'll just be nice and civilized, and if you dig in, then it'll let you know.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Again, it's kind of inside your sound. Again, it's not a thing stuck on top.
Right.
You know, it's part of how you play. It feels, and I think it's the same with pickups. Actually, I think it's not talked about much how a piece of gear feels. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Because you can't demo that.
Yeah, you can't turn it on and then say this is this, and then it's without it effectively.
Yeah, you can't really A/B it. It's like if you feel an old valve amp, an old simple amp when you play it, or something like a Line 6 or something.
I love the fact that we got a whole bunch of New Zealand pedals right there. That's great. I didn't know that Red Witch was out of New Zealand.
Yeah. No, Ben's down in Wellington.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a segue out of that, just really quick. I know that you interviewed him. You've got some great interviews out there that you have been doing, and that was one that I watched because I didn't know very much. I mean, I've known of Red Witch for a long time, but it was great to see a person behind that. As you know, that's the interesting part about all the stuff that we do here. And I really enjoyed that quite a bit. And but I didn't pick up that he was from New Zealand. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and he's a lovely bloke. And that series that I did, that YouTube series, was about promoting other makers of stuff in New Zealand, because they're as good as anyone in the world here.
Sure.
And I've done one of them, which was overseas, which was Tim Stark from Manson Guitars in the UK, who makes all those guitars for Matt Bellamy and all that really interesting stuff that he asked him to do. So I did one with him because I know Tim. I used to teach guitar making in a college in the UK back in the 90s, and Tim was one of my students.
Right.
And went on to do way better things than me.
Are you originally from New Zealand, or did you just end up there?
No, I ended up here. I'm originally from Wales, but I've been in New Zealand for 16 years.
Wow. What brought you to New Zealand?
Is there anywhere better in the world to live?
I don't know. I'm taking your word for it. You know,
I'll fly in next month and let me stay a few weeks. No,
A few weeks.
yeah.
The next morning, your bags will be at the door, Jared.
I'm curious.
Give it a go, mate. But
Yes, I will. Yeah.
If you can find a place in MIQ, good luck to you.
Well, I'm trying to find a house in Nashville right now. That's not easy. It's not easy right now. It's not a buyer's market.
Are there a lot of folks that are trying to get into New Zealand right now?
I think there's a lot of Kiwis trying to come back. Yeah, it's because we've been officially our borders have been pretty much closed since for nearly 2 years.
COVID, yeah.
Wow. So yeah, you could, if you wanted to come over, I think you'd have to have a very, very good reason.
Yeah. Where does one go in New Zealand for a holiday or vacation for the rest of us?
Actually, where I live, a lot of people come here. I live right by the beach, near the beach on the west coast.
Nice.
A little place called Muriwai Beach.
Wow.
But yeah, it's always the sea's always very big here. We get the swells coming up from the Southern Ocean, so a lot of us who live here will go to the east coast, which is only about 20 miles away. The country's very thin here.
Yes.
So we go to the other coast where it's influenced by the Pacific, and the waves are usually smaller, and it's kind of a bit safer for kids and stuff.
Gotcha.
So there's lots of I mean, New Zealand's it's
forest and beach, right?
Yeah, it's underpopulated. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
And there's heaps of mountains down south. There's lots of mountains. I mean, from where I am, you could go in the winter. You could go and ski in central North Island, and then go surf, in the same day.
Yeah. Well, that's actually not unlike where I grew up in Southern California. I had a mountain pass, so I'd go snowboarding in the morning. I'd come home and catch a sunset surf session.
Yeah,
It was pretty sweet.
I don't know.
Wow.
I'm not sure about the climate. You'd probably be a little bit warmer in Southern California, but probably not much.
Yeah. Well, anyways, enough geography for everybody. Everybody's like, yes, get on with it. Ugh. But it's like, kind of like another planet, for the rest of us. it's a remote place.
They're on the same planet, Todd.
I'm just saying, it's like, that's something you read about or hear about, but whatever. Anyway, I'm not
Mr. Worldwide over here.
Anyways, okay. So we're talking to you because you make pickups, and you were also. I think that there's a unique aspect of that since you're doing it in New Zealand, and there aren't that many builders down there. Were you making pickups before you came to New Zealand?
Yeah, look, I started off as a guitar repairer. Well, I went and studied guitar making and repair in the UK in the mid-90s. And I started making pickups then. And ever since, I've been mainly repairing pickups, making a few, but mainly repairing, as well as repairing guitars. And then when COVID happened, I decided to just do the pickups full time. And I've been kind of lining up my ducks a little bit to do that anyway, and that just made me jump. But yeah, so I've been studying old pickups for a long, long time, and then also experimenting with pickups, for myself and for other people.
Sure.
And now there's a range of them, and this is what I do.
So what, out of all the guitar stuff, if you're repairing guitars, I think we probably imagine that most people that repair guitars somehow then get into like making guitars, but you focused on pickups. What was your draw there?
I like the physics. I really like that you have a magnet and a coil of wire around it. I tell you what, years ago, I went to see AC/DC, and I'm watching Angus prattling about doing this thing, and I was thinking, that wire in those pickups, that is almost like human hair.
Yeah.
And you wind that around a magnet, and then you amplify it a few times, and you've got stadium rock.
Yeah.
Isn't that fascinating physics?
Yeah, it absolutely is, especially when you break it down like that.
Nah.
Yeah. So Jared, who is also a pickup guy. I don't know if we established that for you, but Jared owned Brandon wound pickups here for quite some, about 12 years?
15. I started 15 years ago, and then I sold the business to Zach, and now I work for Gibson as a developer.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So Jared was really excited to have you on the show, of course.
Absolutely. And we really want to hear about your stuff, and I can't wait to hear your aspect of what it's like to be in New Zealand and try to do this, because I know what it's like in America. It's really easy. We have so many suppliers at our fingertips here compared to if you were overseas. And
is that a problem for you there, Glyn?
It's just expensive. I can get all the stuff you guys can get. It just costs me more. Sure. Like you were saying about Mojo Tone and free delivery, and then getting 2x12 cabs.
No free 2x12 cabs in New Zealand.
Off the top of my head, in US dollars, a 2x12 would probably cost about $350, maybe $400 delivery.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow, that's nuts.
I heard that it's like $100 to ship a pedal from here to Australia. So, like, the shipping's outrageous right now.
I mean, going the other way though. I mean, for shipping to the US, I use a New Zealand Post courier stuff, and I actually on the website it says it'll be 30 New Zealand dollars to send, which is probably about $20 in your money, and I'm subsidizing that.
Wow.
So
all right, so everybody should be ordering pickups, getting some New Zealand pickups, and not worrying about it.
I kind of think I don't want delivery cost to be a barrier.
Yeah.
And the US market is not one that I've really pushed so very much. It's more in Australia at the moment, and then slowly move up.
Yeah.
I have been selling some to the US. But yeah, I don't want someone going, oh yeah, that pickup looks good, and then go, oh, $100. So it's 30 New Zealand dollars.
Yeah.
So I have to put that into a currency converter, but I think it's about 20 American.
Interesting. Now, from an aspect of, I guess, you were talking about repairing and getting into antique pickups or vintage pickups and stuff. What are some of the things that have really kind of turned you on about those things? Like any kind of interesting or unique discoveries that you'd like to share with us?
It's just the more pickups that you repair or I repair, and the more I look at them, the more variants on that design there are. I think some designs are really forgiving, like a PAF. You can underwind it by whatever percent or overwind it, and it's still a really good pickup. Yeah. Whereas some of them, you've got to, if you get it slightly off, it's just not happy. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Jared. Like a Strat pickup's really forgiving.
Yes. I think you can get away with a little bit, but I think there's a huge sweet spot when it comes to Telecasters and Strats. I kind of agree with you, more or less.
If you put an extra 5% onto a like a 50 Strat pickup, it depends what you're trying to achieve, doesn't it? Because there's the whole vintage thing, but then that's not necessarily what people want to hear.
That's what people. Yeah. That's what a lot of people think they want to hear,
and then they actually get it, and they're like, "Whoa, no, that's way too low output. That's way too, yeah."
And really, how many? I've never played a 57 Strat. I've never had that fortune, and I don't think many people have. So what are we chasing? So this is why. So I don't really go down the vintage route. I don't really care if the spaces in the humbuckers are made of maple or not. Because I don't think that's relevant. Other things I think are very relevant, but I don't do that replica of an old thing.
So what do you kind of with your own pickups? Do you, how do I want to put this? Kind of take a combination of everything you've learned and create your own voice print of like a vintage kind of feel, or?
Yeah, like I mean, a PAF. You know, you play, you analyze half a dozen PAFs, and they're all going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they weren't. I don't even know if they were counting so very accurately. They were just making pickups. So it's more I've taken one of the ones I really, really like, and that's what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why everyone's PAFs sound different from everyone else's, you know. And and there's also that element of the whole scatter wind thing. Of course, that's going to make it different. I think that really gives a manufacturer their personality, is how that winding is put on.
And as far as the parts used construction, I don't know anything about pickups like you're talking about the maple whatever, and like, do you use all modern components or stuff that's made for you? Make them in house? What do you do?
Most stuff is bought in. There's some stuff made here, and I'm increasing that. But it's very hard to say, let's say humbucker base plates. You know, I got a quote for getting the tooling and for making those here, and there's just no way I'm gonna do that. You know,
I mean, you probably don't sell as much as a one-man show. I'm sorry, I don't know if you have other employees that work for you, but if you're a one-man show, I mean, buying tooling for something like that, it's just, unless you knew you were going to do it for the next 40 years, it's just not worth investing, 15, 20,000 into, or maybe even more than that. When you only need, I don't know, 30, maybe at the most 40 of them a week,
Yeah.
And that would be a lot, I guess.
There's just no point in going down that road. It'd be nice to. It'd be nice not to rely on international delivery, which is hard here, but yeah.
So, Glyn, let me ask you. You brought up Malcolm early, and clearly you've been involved in music and guitar for quite some time. I got two questions for you. Did you were inspired by Malcolm's tone? Did you end up trying to chase that tone? That's question number one. The second part of that is, can you talk to us about someone else's maybe tone or configuration that you have tried to emulate and that you broke through successfully?
I've never really tried consciously to emulate that Malcolm Young sound for myself, but I think the first guitar sound that you fall in love with is the sound that you always have in your head. I think that's
probably true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well put. I like that.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's you guys are probably both thinking, oh, what did I fall in love with about electric guitar? And that's always sounds right. You know, and weirdly, it was only a few months ago I actually started working on a Filtertron, and I should have started there, but I didn't. And that's what I was aiming at, was that clank of. It was actually the first 10 seconds of the track Jailbreak.
Oh yes,
that's Malcolm Young's. That's it for me.
Yeah.
But I've never tried doing that myself. There isn't actually a huge place for that in music I've played, but listening to recordings I've made, then yeah, I can hear there's that. I think electric guitar shouldn't be completely pure and clean and sine wavy. It has to have a little bit of grit in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, I want to ask you. You actually mentioned something that I immediately thought, okay, it was Foolin' from Def Leppard. That's really the first one that really got me. We've talked about that one before.
Ugh.
No, man, that dude, the are you kidding me? The guitars in that sound amazing. But the flip side of that, is Billy Duffy from the Cult. I've always loved him.
Yeah.
Back to
I've
Malcolm
always
Young.
loved him.
Yeah.
And but what I was going to ask is on Dirty Deeds, what is your favorite song?
Oh, on Dirty Deeds album,
Yeah.
Ride On.
Is it
I
really?
think Ride. Yeah, and it's for the detail in Angus's playing. You
I
can
completely
hear
agree. I'm so
can hear
that's
that.
crazy.
that you can hear the handling, and there's little bits of vibrato that just almost fade out. That shouldn't. It's almost like they left it in the mix, which is just brilliant. And it's the production on those pre-Highway to Hell albums. It's that production, the Vander and Young thing, where it just sounds like a group of slightly pissed Aussies in a room going for it. Which is probably quite accurate.
Yeah, it's to me, the thing that I love about that one is I can just really get lost in it. It just kind of goes and you just, the ups
Also,
and
I tell you
downs,
what,
the highs and the lows.
Ain't no fun waiting around to be a millionaire as well, because I love how that monotony at the beginning gives you all on that D gives you all that tension, and then which then goes on and on and on and on, and just release it with the G chord. It's just and of course Bon Scott on that.
Yeah. For
so
sure.
I would hate to not ask you a couple of these next questions I have. You mentioned that you've been kind of dabbling in doing repairs on pickups since the mid 90s or the 90s at some point. So my question is for you. I know back then that you couldn't just go to the store or order anything online because the internet was just being born really for everybody to use. So what did you do for a winder? Did you make your own winder?
Yeah, that was well, the guy that taught me had a winder, and that's how he showed me the very first time I made pickups. But then I made the sewing machine winder,
Oh, cool, like a Jason Lawler type.
Right, yeah. But of course, nobody knew of anything. It was just it was a winder, and it was, it spun the bobbin, and that's all it needed to do. And I had a counter on it, so if you can count the turns and spin a bobbin, then control the speed of it, you're pretty much there. And then when I came here, and I used that for a long time, when I came here, I was just in the middle of making a better one. And I was talking to a mate, and he said, "Hey, look, come and have a look in my shed." So off I go to his shed. And he had a machine that used to be used for winding magnetos in the aircraft industry.
Nice.
And that's the machine I've got now.
Is it a George Stevens or a...
No, it was made in Taiwan in the late 70s.
It's still probably cool.
Yeah, no, it's a lovely old thing.
Oh, that's really cool. I love the old machines, I guess. I mean, if you put a pickup on a spool or on a fixture and you're hand winding, you control the speed and the number of turns. You're pretty much in control of that. But I still have a lot of respect for winders that go out and kind of build their own winder. I guess if you're familiar with Star Wars, then if a Jedi goes out and make his own lightsaber, kind of respect. But I know what you mean, but
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, kind of.
So let me ask you, Glyn. It sounds like you really like to get in there with your hands and the physics and everything. What do you like to manipulate the most when you're trying to get pickups to sound a certain way? Is there something that are you more akin to playing with magnets or is it the wire, or what is it?
Can I tag on to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
And ask them at the same time, like you're talking about the physics of it. Do you get like really deep and calculate the impedance and the inductance and all the physics behind it?
That's a totally separate question now.
No, it's the same.
Now he's got to remember both answers.
Okay.
You know, I tend to take that really scientific approach at the end, because at the end of the day, you know, I'm making things for rock and roll, and if it works, if it sounds great, then afterwards let's analyze why it sounds great. You know, like all the pickups I've made. So, for instance, the sort of vintagey Tele pickup, because I was repairing guitars, I knew everyone who played, and so I have a guy who specializes in that kind of sound, and I'd work with him to get the pickups right. You know, so I'd have test pilots like that with pretty much everything. So I don't kind of make that calculation beforehand. It's nice to have a look at that afterwards, but it's not at the front end of it all, which is probably because of I came from the beginning of it, whereas I was making it up, you know, because there was no information out there. There was no internet.
Absolutely.
So, and as for what's important, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. So, and I think there are things that are not. The actual way the wire is put on is really, really important. You know, which now has a name, scatter winding, but which never used to. But it's avoiding a leakage capacitance, which if you avoid leakage capacitance, your pickup sounds more open.
Can you elaborate on the scatter winding just a little bit, and any other methods that you might be using?
Yeah, and what that means, and like how somebody wouldn't scatter wind or would, or
yeah.
Sure. If you imagine your bobbin, if you wind the wire on it really neat and tight, so every winding is right up close to the one before it, and it's a really neat looking bobbin, that will sound muffled. You'll lose treble, because any bit of wire with electricity running through it will have a little field of capacitance around that when it's another bit of wire is next to it. So these bits of wire, so each winding will interfere with the previous winding with its neighbors, and it'll just sound a little bit more like you've rolled a tone off ever so slightly. And the idea of scatter winding is to avoid that. So when you're spinning the bobbin and the wire is traversing back and forth to wind it, that's traversing back and forth quicker. So they're not putting each piece of wire next to the one before it. I tend to do a kind of two things, really. A lot of it's done on the machine, but I also go and mess with the machine as well mess with the way it's traversing while it's spinning. So that's what I mean. Scatter winding is when you do that by hand and you are completely randomizing it. But that's a big part in the personality of a pickup. So
now when you're saying the personality of a pickup, how so?
If you take manufacturers like, let's say, Damasio, and then you play a manufacturer like Bare Knuckle, all the range of their pickups have a certain sort of character. Like Bare Knuckle have a very, very open clarity, more so than Damasio. And that's to do with how it's not the number of turns or the magnet or all that stuff. That character is partly to do with the way the traversing of when it's being wound.
Can I'm going to make an assimilation here, and I may be way off, and I'm
probably
because I'm going to use I'm going to look at the amp guy sitting across from me, who is an amplifier master, and I'm going to be talking to the pickups masters over here, and I'm going to say that the winding that you're kind of describing it reminds me of how people talk about solid state versus tube amplifiers. In the sense that a solid state doesn't have it's like when you hit a piano key, it doesn't matter how many times you hit that piano key, it's going to sound basically exactly the same thing. The key itself doesn't have so much character. But if if you're blowing on a trumpet, every single time you play a note, it's going to sound different.
Because of the way your lips are on the mouthpiece.
Yeah, I'm just I'm trying to am I way off?
I understand what Glyn's saying as well. It's you're adding more character and more more voicing to the pickup, a better range of sound instead of losing clarity with just the whole. How if you have one of those really neat hose winder uppers on the side of your house and it winds the hose exactly next to each other in a perfect.
You're saying my hose will sound bad.
Yeah, your hose will sound like crap. But if it's
you lose all the treble when the water comes out.
The water will feel so good if it's
scattered around.
And I'm going to go beyond the idea of the high end thing because I think you mentioned character and you mentioned open character, and to me that is reminiscent of how people talk about a tube amp versus a solid state.
You can probably make that comparison too, like a vintage Strat compared to a new mass-produced Strat. Same. I mean, similar things. That it's handmade, so it's inconsistent. It's got more personality to it than a CNC. Everyone meant to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
But like we talked about earlier, though, there's a feel aspect too. It's when pickups they feel quite different to play. Mm-hmm. If they're clearer, or like if you play a noiseless compared to a vintage Strat pickup, the feel is so different. So there's that. And what's really funny is we're all struggling with vocabulary here, aren't we? Because all our vocabulary is visual. Describing sound. Yeah. It's really hard describing sound.
Oh, it never ends.
Yeah.
But then you've got other factors like coil geometry that, again, is not really... people look at the K ohms, which is, the amount of turns of that gauge wire, which is only relevant if you know which gauge wire it is. Mm-hmm. But then you've got the coil geometry. So if you take a Strat and you put the top and bottom plate closer together, so the coil is going to be a little bit not as high, so there's more of the windings will be further from the magnet. Changes it drastically, takes a lot of that ping off the top, and you lose a little bit of in fact you're getting towards a Jazzmaster. So there's that, and there's how the magnets are. If you put a magnet inside a coil, like with the Jazzmaster, or you put a magnet outside the coil with steel in the coil instead to conduct that, then you get more like a P90 compared to a Jazzmaster. So there's lots of all these factors. So there's no one thing that I go, oh yeah, I like to use this magnet. Well, yeah, but there's all these other factors there's probably about 10 variables.
Yeah,
that you can dick with to get what you want, hopefully.
Yeah. You kind of sounded a little bit like Rob Halford there, just for a second. The 10 variables.
Yeah.
Anyways,
right. I mean, you've got different materials and different structures. The way the pickup's built, it changes the whole voice of the pickup.
What's your personal preference for your gear? Or tell us about your actual guitar gear.
The stuff that I use.
Yeah.
My main gig is in a sort of rock-based covers band, so I need to cover a lot of territory. So we'll go from fairly clean sounds. We might do This Charming Man by the Smiths at the earlier part of the night, and we'll end up with Killing in the Name.
Wow.
So yeah, and I don't like that swapping guitars every song because who do I think I am? It's all right if you're the Edge, but come on. So I use an Epiphone Sheraton with a set of my Cloud 9 humbuckers in it.
Very cool.
With which are kind of the similar ballpark to a Super Distortion, but not quite. Slightly different to that. So they clean up really nicely. And then the amp, I've got a Jansen, which was made in Auckland in the early 70s. Oh, so cool. It's a very ordinary couple of 6L6s, volume, treble bass, kind of all you need, really.
Right. I have a Epiphone Sheraton too. What is your finish?
Oh, see, it's as I repaired guitars for so long, guitars found me. It's like that Harry Potter thing where the wand finds the wizard. You know? So that arrived in the workshop. It was brush painted white with like a sweeping, like with like a yard brush or something, you know. And it was in a really, really bad way. And the repair just wasn't, you know, the guy just didn't want to pay anything, and he just said, "Oh, you stab it." So I went, "Oh, okay." So I stripped the finish off. And I was just going to use it as a test guitar, because I got lots of test guitars for pickups, of course. And it just seems to do what I want it to do and just works live. So I usually take a Gibson Les Paul as a spare.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I like the Sheraton. It's actually a great instrument.
Yeah.
Well, in your neck of the woods, do you find that most people are coming to you for, like, what do most people come to you for? I will rephrase that in a better way.
Like what style of pickup you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you do?
What was Mr. Glyn known for?
Right. My two best-selling pickups are one of my Tele sets called the Cruel Mistress, which is a sort of hotter Tele set. And then my other bestseller is the Black Sand, which is a humbucker size P90. Although hits on the website, more people look at the vintage stuff, vintage Strat and the sort of PAF type pickup. Right. But they tend to buy those two are the ones that are definitely my best sellers.
So let me ask, where do you send the most pickups to? So where's your market, basically? Where do you find yourself selling to the most, there or UK, USA?
Yeah, mainly New Zealand. Australia's kind of close behind. The USA, only a few. And then, you know, miscellaneous European countries. There's no real pattern in Europe. I do send a few over to the UK. I have a little problems dealing with their VAT at the moment website, but it's So mainly in the South Pacific.
Are you working on anything new, or do you have your stable of pickups and that's how you're going to roll?
You know, I've got this sort of basic core of pickups. The other thing I was really aware of when I really started this as a business was not to have too many different pickups.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I mean, like Duncan have got 1,200 pickups in their range. So, you know, off you go to the store and you decide, you have a look through, and you look through the website and you go, okay, I want that one, you know, after 3 days of trying to decide.
Right.
And the chances of anyone having that in stock in the color you want, especially in New Zealand, are virtually zero. So I've gone, right, I make the core of stuff. So I do like the vintage Strat and a hot Strat and a vintage Tele and a hot Tele. The humbuckers, there's a few more of those. And then I've just started expanding from that core. So there's like a couple of mini humbuckers. There's a couple of Jazz Masters. There's some Jaguars waiting to go on the website. So I try and do two of each, but then there's options, you know, like with a PAF. I looked at that and go, well, you know, you can have it underwound 5%, overwound 5%, or overwound 10%. And I decided to have that as the same pickup, but with a variety of the windings, rather than give that 4 different names and 4 different web pages and just make it more confusing for people.
Smart.
Well, and you get a little bit educated in that manner too, rather than having some kind of mystery sauce that you don't know why your pickup sounds that way.
Yeah, and so it's a funny one, because some people are very, very into the minutiae of every detail, and some people just want to pick up what sounds nice.
Yeah.
So you've got to really try and cater for all that.
What is the overriding sound profile for New Zealanders? New Zealanders. Is that what we call them? What do you call yourself?
Are you trying to put
New Zealand?
everybody from New
Well,
Zealand?
no.
in the
I'm just
same-
saying, what I'm trying to find out, like, is, are they? Is it a heavy classic rock scene there? Is it a metal scene? Is it a blues scene? Is there an overriding scene at all?
No, there isn't. There's a few things that aren't here. There's not a lot of country pop. There's not.
Consider yourself charmed. Yeah.
New Zealand sounding better and better every time you say it.
I know.
I'm
going to visit.
Like with anywhere, there's a massive underground metal scene.
Yeah.
Where people look rough and dodgy, but are the sweetest, loveliest people in the world.
For sure.
It's the same as anywhere, really. And of course, music now is very spread out around the world. There's no sort of unique little bits of music around the place, are there? You know, we all listen to similar stuff.
Yeah.
There was a scene down in Dunedin which was a very kind of slightly out of tune. I don't know to describe it really. Kind of jangly sort of thing, but no, there's no real single scene here. You know, it's an interesting place because there's not a lot of money to be made as a musician here.
Or anywhere. Let's just be honest about that.
Yeah, but in the US you can tour major cities for your whole life.
Yeah.
Whereas here, you just don't do that. There just isn't the space to do that unless you go overseas. So there aren't, everyone's got their other things on the go. So, yeah, we have, there are large musicians here. I mean, so there's Lord and there's Neil Finn and all those people, but not so many.
Yeah.
But the actual people down at ground level playing, there's just as many as anywhere.
Yeah. I would imagine that the local scene down there is actually probably pretty great.
Yeah, and it suffered a lot. Auckland was locked down for 4 months. It's only starting to open up now. Pub gigs only came back about mid-December. So, and everyone's very reluctant to book things in advance still.
Yeah, it's still that way here a little bit.
Yeah, and so that's made it quite hard for gigging musicians. But everyone diversifies. There's a lot more online lessons than there were.
Speaking of musicians, I have a fun question for you that I've been trying to ask. If there is one artist out there that you can choose to build a pickup for, who would that be? Any artist that exists, that's alive and still playing today, who would you love to represent your pickups?
Oh, that's a tricky one, isn't it? I don't know.
It could be anybody. Just
Yeah, that's the hard thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does it have to be anybody?
Just your own personal liking and preference, though. I mean, there's no strategy in it.
Explain it more.
I would say, you know what? I think Dweezil Zappa.
Oh, nice.
Really?
I didn't see that one coming.
No.
Yeah, no, I listened to so much Frank Zappa when I was young. I'm not sure if it did me any good, but and I just like Dweezil's approach, he seems like a really nice human being.
I was gonna say you should reach out to him because I've met him a couple of times when he was doing stuff with PV way back when, and he always seemed very accessible to me, like he's down for whatever.
Yeah. So. Send him a set, Glyn. Do it.
And his
I'll
dad,
do that. Yeah,
his dad was
he's probably.
tinkery.
Sorry?
His father was tinkery too. I mean, he was on these old, early shows in the '60s, like showing everybody how to make music with a bicycle. I mean, he's such a tinkery kind of person. He's kind of like, I'm surprised he didn't get into pickup winding, actually.
Yeah, he's probably very, very busy with his music.
Yeah, I
wasn't
think he had another career that was paying him a little
Yeah.
more.
Frank, yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, at least he cared about what made all these sounds. He was
Yeah.
neurological about it.
Point taken. Well, Glyn, it's been a real pleasure talking to you and getting to find out more about what makes you tick, and I think it's really interesting. Anytime we're talking to anybody that's building something, where you are plugging in your sort of creative DNA and putting your character into this guitar gear that you're making. So, thanks so much for sharing that with us.
Well, it's been really nice talking to you, and what's really nice as well is hearing a bit more about you guys. Because you don't really, I've listened to quite a few of the podcasts, but I don't hear that much, and I just find that really interesting.
Cool.
And isn't it great how what a leveler music is? We can talk about tuba 12 cabs or what have you, and it's really nice. Just it's almost like a really lovely escapism, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
Yep.
It is indeed. And in fact, we're going to escape in the back of the El Camino. We're going to swing by Jared's house and honk really loud and wake him up so he can run out on the porch in his bath towel and scream out a "Would you rather" at us. So, Jared, you want to take it away?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time tonight for a little bit of Would You Rather. This Would You Rather is from our friend John Esterly. And it goes a little something like this. So you're walking down the street on your way to a gig with your beloved Stratocaster, even Todd, when you trip over a loose cobblestone and you fall. There's nothing worse than tripping over a cobblestone. Landing on the guitar case to break your fall, you sheepishly open the case and, everything looks to be okay. You make it to your gig and plug in the old faithful Strat with the knobs, and then you go grab the selector switch to put it in the neck position when pop! You feel something give way inside the guitar. The selector switch feels loose, and you quickly realize that something's wrong. The guitar only works in 2 positions. So, would you rather have the Strat only work in the between positions? So you're either going to have, actually there could be 2. So there's 2. There's the bridge in the middle, and then the middle in the neck. Or have the Strat only work in the bridge and middle positions.
Okay.
Yeah, I said that right.
All right.
So you only get the bridge.
No neck, no matter what.
No neck, no matter what. That's what it says. And I apologize, folks. I haven't been around Strats in a long time. So
Me neither.
So you can either have 2 and 4 or 1 and 3. That's what you're saying.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's a 5-way.
Okay, so it's basically
Let's
all
assume
in the middle.
it's a Strat, so let's assume it's
A 5-way.
Yeah.
The old
Okay.
ones were 3. But
All right. Well, that's an interesting one. Thank you, John, for sending that our way. Let's see. We're going to go Rob, Jared, Glyn, and me. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay, easy. 1 and 3, no middle positions. I can make it through a gig with 1 and 3 going on, but those middle positions, it's the airy, out of phase kind of. I couldn't do a whole gig like that.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Let's see. Jared.
He took the words right out of my mouth, man. You can't. I'm. You won't play the beginning of Sweet Home Alabama.
Ever.
That'd be pretty crazy sounding.
The bridge or the middle, but you can make it work anyhow. And when that comes on, then nobody cares anyway because they just hear the notes. I'm totally with Rob. I'd rather have the full sound of each pickup, and that's what you're going to get. So definitely bridge and middle.
Okay. So you're okay. Glyn, how about yourself?
I just need the middle on its own.
Okay.
I agree. Of all the single coil pickups, that would be the one position I'd need to.
As long as it's got a quack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, they don't. Often they just sound like something in between the neck and the bridge. Whereas I think a middle pickup is something that should be completely unique on its own and should do a sonic duck quack.
Gotcha.
So yeah, middle.
Well, I'm going to be on my own island because
Really?
I want to.
What's wrong with you?
Because I can't. I really don't like playing strats. So if I'm not going to really like playing the strat, I want to really not like playing the strat. So I'll be like fighting it the whole time.
Okay.
So I'm going to take the middle.
Can we re-ask the question with a Telecaster?
Oh,
Because none of us like strats.
I don't see why not, man. Let's do a bonus.
So a telly. So we're talking about
It's a-
three
okay,
position
yeah,
telly.
so-
So it's
so-
either middle or bridge.
bonus round. Yeah. So it's it would be
No neck, middle or
you,
bridge.
You can either play the middle position, which is
Neck in,
neck end bridge, or
only bridge.
only bridge.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough.
No.
For me.
No, that's easy.
No, it's easy for me too.
Yeah. All right, okay, everybody, bridge pickup on the count of three. Say I. 1, 2, 3.
I. There we go. With the
All right.
tone rolled off about 40%.
Yeah.
Glyn.
All right. Well, that was fun. Thanks, John, and you're welcome for the bonus round. All right. Well, we need to say a thank you to quite a few people, and I'm going to be taking this over from Tony, so it'll be about half the time.
Woohoo.
Okay. Let's see. We need to thank our fantastic patrons on from Patreon, the supporters who keep the show going. And you might be asking yourself, what is? No, I'm not.
You're like doing
I'm
a
not
weird
going to.
mix of Jared
It's
and
too. Yeah, I know.
and
Because
Tony and-
Jared's voice is really fun to do.
anytime you need to do a character, you just slip into Jared regardless of
yeah.
who you're doing.
Yeah. Tony's sound is sort of like if Harry Carey and Jared were mixed together. That's kind of like what Tony sounds like. Anyways, okay. So the patrons are the ones that support our show every month, and we're truly, truly grateful for them. Our executive producers get a great range of rewards when they sign up, and we want to say thank you to them right now. So here we go. Moon Guitars, Vader Pedals, Drew Lopez, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Gary Cooper, Jason Rausch, Mikey D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, Matt Hart, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemolero, Bill Gola Guitars. They're out your way, Glyn.
I sent him some pickups the other day.
Fantastic! He's great. John Esterly, whom we just heard from, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Lawrence, Senchuk. He's very hoity-toity with the Lawrence. Yeah. Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, John Anglin, and Tom Barazin.
Wait a minute.
Tony does this so much.
wait.
Jared, hang on a second. We also have what we call our grand poobahs, and these are the ones that sit at the top on the penthouse suite in their personal jacuzzis filled with Gatorade and orange Gatorade.
Their name read on the thing.
And that's right. I can't believe I forgot that. What makes this also special, Jared?
They get to have their name read on the thing.
Right, and that's what I've been doing. So
the wheels just come off.
I need
without
Tony. I need, but I know I need him.
Apparently.
So here we go. Grand Poobahs. Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Igareda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian. Jack, thank you, my friend. Had some recent talkings with him, and I'm glad to be announcing him on the show. Sam Jett, LSJ Music Co., John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robinson, Jonathan Dudzik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zandt, Tim Novak. I see that. It looks like my name. Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. And Rat King. Well, I know you guys are all like, oh my gosh, Todd, stick to the other parts
so
of the
much better at that.
He's so much better at it. He's had more practice.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that was satisfactory. We really do appreciate you all. And if you're interested in becoming a supporter of the show, you can head on over to Patreon and look up the Guitar Knobs, and you can do it there. And if you can't figure it out, just send me a DM. All right. Glyn Evans, where can people find out more about you?
Well, the usual places. There's a website, mrglynspickups.com. There's a Facebook. I do lots of stuff on Instagram. I've got a YouTube with lots of demos and me interviewing people and all that stuff. I have a Twitter, but I'm never going to go back to it again, I don't think. And I actually have a TikTok, but I don't think I'm ever going back there either.
I love this guy.
Yeah. All right. And you can check out your MySpace, too. Let's see here. Rob.
Yes. MadCowAmplification.com, Instagram, Facebook. I think that's it.
Yeah. Definitely go check out what Rob does. It is a marvel.
I don't know about Marvel.
It is something else. Jared.
Yes, if you would like to get a hold of me and ask me general questions about things, BigBrandon26 at msn.com.
No,
Whoa.
for Pete's sakes, just get an Instagram account. What's wrong with you?
Big Brandon.
26 at msn.com. I'm 6'6", 320.
MSN.com?
I'm going to make you do a clap here.
I've had this Hotmail account since, I think, 2004.
My goodness.
Was this for your porn career earlier in your life? Was that Big
geez.
Brandon?
No, a drill sergeant used to call me that in basic training. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I never do it forward. Although I do like that idea.
All right. Anyways, we'll probably edit that out. All right. You can send me an email, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me on Instagram at guitarknobs. And because you won't possibly remember Jared's email, you can send me anything you want to connect with him. And you can petition him to do his Instagram for Pete's sakes. That's ridiculous. All right, everybody, thank you. We want to say a colossal thanks to Glyn Evans, calling all the way from Auckland, New Zealand. Thank you so much, Glyn.
Mr. Glyn,
Very welcome. It's been fun.
it was actually a treat for me to have somebody else talk about pickups and probably explain things a lot better than me too. So I really appreciate you being on here. Thank you.
Oh, great. No, thank you very much.
It's such a treat for us. Every single time we get to interview somebody who's like our guitar world expands not only in gear but in also in relationships, and our door is always open to you at any time. So hope you use it in the future. Okay.
Thank you. And it's such a good community, isn't it? Which is one of the reasons I did that YouTube series. It's really heartwarming how everyone's and you know what I think it is. I think it's because no one is the best player in the world, and we're all on this kind of journey that we know we're never going to get there.
Yeah.
So
that's the fun part.
Yeah, exactly. You're never going to get there. So why get upset about it?
It's like golfing without all the stuffy bits.
Yeah.
Make sure you go check out what he does and maybe get yourself a set of pickups. Why not, right? Make your guitars unique. All right. Have a fantastic guitar week. We'll see Tony next week, and he'll do the other things better. Subscribe!
Yeah.
Are you in a bathroom?
Hello, test. Me?
He's multitasking.
In my defense, I was on holiday. There was no electricity for about a week. So
Yes.
Good for you, buddy.
But no, you're right.
Yeah.
You have a generator?
No, I didn't take one on holiday. No.
I don't know. I don't. You bozo.
Get in the car.
What do you call the bathroom down there? What's the slang for bathroom?
I don't know what you call it, really. Bathroom bog.
Toilet?
Bog might be a good one. Yeah.
Are you going to use the bog?
I'm fine though. I did think of it beforehand.
Ah, okay.
Gonna
Well,
use a bog to lay down a log.
Ooh. Maybe we should change our slang a bit.
yeah.
I had to hit the right button on my thing to do the thing right on the thing.
Hey,
Jared.
Hey.
Jared. Jared as Jared.
No,
Things
'cause
it's out of control. Just test.
It-
Let me test it. Ah!
Jared.
Oh, no, you're good. That's me. How you doing?
how's this happening?
Good.
How is this happening? There used to be a thing in Disneyland, original Disneyland, where I grew up. And people would wait in line, and you'd go in, and it was in Tomorrowland. And you'd put in a whole bunch of quarters, and you could all sit in a booth and call somebody and talk. That was like the future. Like, it was incredible.
Right.
My mom would be crying because she'd be able to talk to her great grandma or to her grandma. And we'd be calling our family and they're all on the same phone. Mm-hmm. You know, and we'd be all crammed into this booth. That's crazy to think about. And it cost a fortune. We had to pay for it. It was a long distance call. Oh, come on.
Hey, that was kind of weak. You were just phoning that one in.
Yeah. Come on, dig deep there, Buster.
Isn't it weird? We've got all this 21st century technology.
Going over
We're
to a
about to
different
talk
computer,
about
but that
1940s
doesn't make
technology.
much sense since, I mean, I'm talking to you guys right now.
That's going to be annoying.
I hope that wasn't too painful for you.
No, it's fun. I mean, gosh, talking guitar bollocks all day is fantastic. Eh?
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.